Hey guys, Chris here. Today I will be showing you how to produce an original song using some samples from my library in Harrison MixBus32C. If you'd like to see more tutorial videos like this, let me know in the comments. So I decided to start with this bass line. The session's already 90 BPM, so no time warping is necessary. The sample's in G sharp minor, so I'm going to check my sample library and see if I have anything that would work with it. So I found the sample that's also in G sharp minor and around the same tempo. As you may have noticed, our new sample does not fit the same chord progression that the bass line plays. We can double check this by lowering the frequency of the low pass filter and adding an instrument tuner to the track. So as you can see, it mostly stays around G sharp, which makes sense, but our bass loop doesn't really work with that rhythm right now, and it has some notes that are different. I'm going to go ahead and chop this bass line up using the cut tool, keyboard shortcut C, and use the instrument tuner to make sure all the bass notes work with the sample. So I've got it all nice and chopped up and all ready to go, but before I play it here, I need to remove my low pass filter and also cut some of the low frequencies so it doesn't sound too muddy, probably up to about 150 Hertz. So the bassline rhythm and notes work, but it still sounds a bit too full for my liking. There's too much going on with the sample, so I'm going to write some chords of my own that can work with it. I'm going to press Shift-Command-N to open up a new track and select Addictive Keys. Then I'm going to write chords based around the notes in the bass line that I chopped up. Here's how our new chord progression sounds with our bass line. So I like this right now, but we only have two elements and it's a little bare. Because this bass line also works with the sample we started with, I can take some elements of the sample I liked and make it work with my new chord progression. So I grabbed the same synth and electric piano from our previous sample and also grabbed a new vocal. The vocal was originally in the key of E minor, so I hit Ctrl+8 and pitched it up 4 semitones. As you can hear, the sample has some reverb in it, but it sounds a little unnatural in that when the sample stops, there's no tail from the reverb. So I'm going to add Valhalla to this to make it smoother. Here's a synth and an electric piano that I grabbed from my sample library. And this is what we've got so far all together. So I like this, but I feel like there's a little more room left to add one more thing, and I remember there's a Rhodes part I liked in the original sample. Alright, so I like how it is so far. It sounds pretty full and we have some nice ear candy. Next, I'm going to structure it out so not all the melodies are playing at once and we have some nice movement and evolution throughout the track. So I got it all structured out and added a fade-in intro on the vocals and Rhodes. So my philosophy while structuring it was just kind of to keep it interesting without having too much going on at once. I know there are kind of a lot of melodies, but a good structure can help that seem underwhelming. I also added some processing to the synth, keys, and Rhodes. I threw an XT3D delay onto the Rhodes and made sure it was connected to the host tempo. Then added an EQ to remove some muddiness in the keys. I also added some Valhalla room reverb to the Prophet synth lead. I decided to add a pad as well at a few points because I felt like the keys were a little repetitive. This plugin is called Opus, it's great. This specific synth is called Aristotle. It's a nice square wave pad that has a slow attack with a glide and some built-in reverb. So we've added some processing and structured it out nicely, but I like to add some FX to smooth some of the transitions between the chorus and the verse. I grabbed a couple risers that happen to be in the key of G sharp minor and a fill to help with the transition. The sample originally had some room noise in it, so I used a 32C EQ to cut out some of the highs. I also added some delay to these risers. Let's see how this sounds so far within the context of the song. So I like how that sounds, I like how the transition is, and I like how it brings in the bass. I think it's well structured and polished, so the next step is to add some drums to the intro. I brought in a kick, hat, and a snare from my sample library. So I think these drums are only going to be in the intro, and for that reason I want to keep them pretty basic, not do too much and don't distract the listener from the melodies that are going on. So far the intro's all finished and it transitions into the verse pretty well. So next I'm going to want to work on some more aggressive sounding drums for the verse and for the majority of the song. So I brought in a basic hat and a basic clap. Most of the hats are on 16th notes and I left some space in between some of them. This is how it sounds so far with the rest of the song. This sounds nice, but the drums aren't as energetic as I thought, so I think I'm going to add some more stuff. So I brought in a cowbell tuned to G sharp minor, a kick, and an open hat that has the same pattern as the kick, along with a snare. I also added some reverb to the open hat to widen the image of the drums. So I'm pretty happy with the drums, so our next step is to put it over the rest of the song and structure it out. So the drums are structured out and we're all done, so here's what the finished product sounds like. So that's our finished product. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something about how to produce music in MixBus32C.